You are listening to the BlahCade podcast. I'm your host, Chucha Trap, aka Chris Freebus. Joining me as always from around the world, Jared Morgan.
Hello.
nice pregnant pause afterwards.
Yes. Yeah, I was trying to think of something if I could also go in ascending voice as well, but I didn't know if I could quite get there, so I decided not to.
I'm trying to keep the volume down, so I'm going to have my mouth very close to the mic here. Trying to keep the volume down because my son is also trying to record at the exact same time videos of his, and he keeps on coming in here and giving me dirty looks because apparently he can hear me on his tablet microphone on the other side of the house.
It's super sensitive.
Yeah,
you should just solve the problem and get him a nice Bluetooth mic that is nice and secure, so that he doesn't get audio bleed.
Yeah, I had to
get him to record in the garage.
I had to put the kibosh on what he was planning to do today. So he follows this animated web series. They call them object shows. I think we've talked about it before briefly. But it's this show called Battle for Dream Island.
Yes, the one that he does all the pictures of, and we actually got a surprisingly large amount of follows and retweets about when you actually posted the art.
Right. Well, the guys that do that show, they went to college, and so suddenly they weren't producing episodes anymore. But there are a ton of copycats on YouTube. They call them object shows, and these guys all do their own object shows. And my son has followed suit and is making his own object shows. He draws them and he makes scripts for them and does comics about them. But then he also films things with some of his little toy figures and everything. Well, apparently all these other guys, they just straight up stole the opening from this animated show and they slap it on their own show.
Oh, right. Okay. That's a bit dodge.
Right. Well, so my son decided he was going to film an intro to his. Now, his isn't animated by any means. It's just, like I said, he's just recording figures that he has spread around. He does little crazy voices for and everything.
Yeah.
Well, he wanted to use the music straight from that show and do his own opening. And I said, no, you can't do it. And he got all mad at me.
Because
he got all mad at me. Yeah, and that's what I said. I go, it's called copyright. And he goes, well, other shows do it. And I go, I don't care. That's not cool. I go, how would you like it if you made something completely original that became popular and then everybody else used that and put it on theirs? Well, I don't know. I probably wouldn't like it, but I'm like, exactly. And then as my wife then brought up to my attention, I was like, oh yeah. And so I told him, I go, so when we first started this podcast, we were called the BlahCade and we got a cease and desist letter. I go, I'm just saving you that little legal headache,
little piece of fun.
Yeah.
Or having all your videos taken down because of copyright breaches from YouTube, because they're pretty brutal about that.
Yep.
So,
and I mean, even though he only has viewership of maybe 10 people, it's still better to keep it honest early than to get into that habit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, be original, and you'll be the only series with its own intro.
Yeah.
Proper intro.
So if you do, because he'll appreciate me saying this, if any of you do feel like seeing what comes from the mind of an 11-year-old with his tablet and doesn't know much about filming, check out his YouTube channel, which is Trash Bwah, BWAH. That's what his web channel is, and then you can check out some of his craziness. Which, I'm sorry, to me it makes absolutely no sense, but I've seen other videos.
11 years old, it's perfectly
I'm not kidding you. Yeah, because like I said, I've seen videos of the other people that have produced these things. I'm like equally just going, what? Well, why is this entertaining? But okay, whatever.
He loves it. Yeah, it's like you got to be 11, man. Like it's all about the demographic.
If only we knew our demographic.
I don't know. Our demographic is blokes who like digital pinball, I would say. Had a guess.
I'm gonna point out. I know Jared can see it, and that's about the only person that can see it. I'm gonna point out the T-shirt that I'm wearing. We're recording on Saturday. I'm wearing a T-shirt that says Taco Tuesday, and there's a picture of a pizza on it. So
yeah, get Shrek'd.
That's my demographic right there.
Yeah, confused about food and life in general.
It's like when I've seen those T-shirts where it's it'll be a picture of Yoda, and then it'll say "You cannot pass" in quotes, and then quoting it, it'll say Dumbledore.
Dumbledore. I know. It's basically a geek triggered shirt, basically.
Yeah.
So everyone out on the internet who is watching or see that shirt is just like going, but it's pizza! And just and their head explodes, basically.
Yep.
Yep.
So, all right, let's get into some things. First thing, it seems kind of like how we're going these days. Let's talk about the Zen tournament that we ran this past week. We were doing it with Thor because the new Thor Ragnarok movie came out, and dun 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 dun. Here are your top 5. Coming in 5th place was CC 178 at 69 million. Coming in at 4th was Mick L74, coming in at 73 million. And then 3rd place, Creplo 55012, 99 million. And then Nimble Lee topped out at 180 million. And he held on to 1st place for a long time. And I made it my mission to knock him off. And I did. I took 1st place at 228 million on Thor. And that was straight up pinball, no add-ons at all.
You win.
I win. I feel accomplished.
Yes.
Well, it was funny.
Do you get a medal?
No. Oh. I get a pat on the back, and that's about it. I was like, damn it, I need to win one of my tournaments for once. And this seemed to be the one that I had the best shot at. It's like I said, I don't necessarily care for the table. I appreciate it more now that I've played it and understand how to play it. But some of the shots on there are just weird, like hard to start. The mode starts aren't difficult, but there's this one secret cavern that only opens up once you have the mode ramp open, and it's a really narrow, tight shot. It reminds me a lot of Ripley's with the upper flipper where you have the 2 lanes that you can shoot. One circles back around towards the pop bumpers. The other one goes to the lower pop bumpers, basically, or something of that nature. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it's that narrow of a shot, and you need the upper one, and it's really bizarre. And then there's another mid flipper on the left side that shoots into this ice cavern, and there's little to no time from the point you see the ball on the flipper to you needing to flip in order to get it into that loop.
Yeah, it's pretty much as soon as you see the ball coming out of the mechanism, you got to flip it.
And the problem is it's not slow drop either. It's quickly there.
Boom! It's on the table.
Yeah.
It's brutal, that shot. It's hard.
So anyway, that was
a lot of those sort of shots on. Like, there's from memory, I haven't played it for a while, but I do remember. I remember enjoying it enough. Actually, it was okay for me. I like the ball elevator thing as it goes up to whatever it's called.
Asgard.
Asgard land in the back. And that was kind of cool. That's mode start up there, isn't it? I think.
That's the mode shot.
That's mode start. Yeah. That's fun.
And the modes are kind of interesting in terms of the very first one is, I don't want to say it's super easy, but it's pretty easy and it's not timed. And then the next one is a little bit harder, and the next one after that is a little bit more harder until you finally get to the final mode. Well, I shouldn't say the final mode. The final visible mode is a bear. I mean, it's tough. And then you get the wizard mode, and that one was really difficult. I didn't wind up completing that one. So it was kind of interesting. It was kind of interesting that it ramps up in difficulty. I thought that was kind of a good choice.
It gracefully escalates. So
interestingly enough, in order to get the score that I got, I previously had been doing all of the modes in order, and then I'd get to that last mode that was hard, and I'd wind up bricking it, and it would be on my 3rd ball, and that would be the end of my score. And so finally I said, screw it, I'm doing that one first, because if I have a bad game and blow it there, I can just shut the game down and start all over again. And that wound up being my my calling card for doing that. So
go hardest first. Go chop that wood, basically, and do it first.
So enough of the chopping of wood. And this next week we're going to go a little bit easier in terms of grindage. It's going to be a 5-minute tournament. Sticking with the same theme, because after I just went and saw Thor Ragnarok, and after seeing that, I realized, hey, World War Hulk is also part of this thing. So we're going to be playing World War Hulk. 5-minute mode, and this one, it'll be whatever add-on you want. Go for it. Throw it on. So,
I could probably do like a variation of this tournament just by following along on my Android tablet with probably not any of the power-up versions that you run, but
right.
I could do like a 5-minute burst and see what I could get. Just do it for fun, because I'm kind of missing out here. I got nothing.
We're making Jared jealous.
I'm trying. What did I do the other day? I decided to go back through some of the Universal tables. I had a really good shot at Back to the Future, and I got a taste for that game. It's actually pretty good. The more you get into it, it's a really fun game. E.T. I can't really get into it, and I didn't even bother with Jaws. I just don't resonate with that game at all. Maybe I'm missing something with it.
The problem I have with Jaws is it just doesn't flow to me.
No,
it's very herky jerky. If you miss a shot, the ball comes clunking back down to you. It doesn't. Some tables you miss the shot and yet the ball still finds a way of moving around. And Jaws, it just you miss a shot and just and comes back at you at a wonky angle, and it's very starts and stops, and I'm not thrilled with it.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't like about it.
And E.T., like I said before, I just can't. Every time E.T. talks, I just want to tell him to shut up, because it's just. And the Elliot voice is clearly
a girl.
It's the girl from Sorcerer's Lair.
Yeah,
I keep on expecting her to call her
Elliot's a boy. I was like, Elliot's a boy, and it sounds like a girl. That's what I was going. Hang on, it's been a while since I've seen that movie. I'm pretty sure Elliot was a bloke.
Yep.
No, doesn't even remotely pass as being okay. Anyhow,
I should mention that with Thor Ragnarok, I do watch all the Marvel movies. My 3 least favorite have been the 2 Thor movies and the first Captain America. Any of those 3 resonated with me at all. So the only reason why I went and saw this was because it looked a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy, and had that fun, and that totally translated. I really had a good time with it. It was good times. I went
Ragnarok
and saw it in.
Does sound good. I've heard very good things. I've not seen it, of course, because movies are hard. In fact, everything is hard. So
yeah, well, that's the beauty. My son has finally embraced seeing some of these, and so me and him went and saw it. We went and saw it in IMAX 3D.
That would have been pretty nice. Yeah. Recommended.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty impressive.
Well, I've never seen any of the Marvel movies in IMAX 3D, and I was very interested because when I get the Blu-rays, they do the frame breaking on some of the movies, and I was hoping those that did that, and it unfortunately didn't. Kind of the bummer, like not much came out at you, but it was still pretty cool to see it gigantic like that, and it's a very colorful movie, and Jeff Goldblum just eats the scenery, which is a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Okay, very early in the month, and kind of shocked to see it, but Farsight has dropped the beta for the next 2 tables, which are the EM pack. It's the EM pack, and it includes Spanish Eyes and Wild Card. Both of them are Williams tables, which look, we complain when we get Gottlieb Premier tables. For God's sake, do Gottlieb EMs. That was their bread and butter back in the day. That was when they were king and Williams was nothing.
I'm looking at the Spanish. Yeah, okay. Well, let's go through the game, shall we? Spanish Eyes. Let's try Spanish Eyes.
The unique thing about Spanish Eyes is it has a pop bumper right at the center drain, and it's by a horseshoe, or not necessarily a horseshoe, but bumpers on the side. So the ball can drop in, and you think it's going to drain, but if you nudge the table and get that pop bumper going, you can pop it right back out onto the playfield.
Yeah, that's kind
of cool. Flippery wide, and but on either side of the pop bumper. So that's kind of its unique.
Hmm.
Beyond that, I don't care for what. I mean, it's one of those tables where beyond that you have a horseshoe shot in the middle, a ball capture in the center of the horseshoe, and then you've got 4 pop bumpers. I think it's 4 pop bumpers at the very top of the table. And that's about the extent of it. There's no lanes to shoot. There's no drop targets to hit. So I get that it's a unique style with that pop bumper in the middle, but it really does nothing for me.
It's a one-trick pony, really. I'm looking at the layout, and it looks like there's your usual on EMs. You have the rubber contact surfaces, so all the long white rubbers have switches behind them for scoring. But it looks like there are targets, just stand-up targets, positioned strategically around the table. And it actually reminds me a little bit of Hyperball in the fact that it has all these targets really far away from you, all around the edge of the table. A little bit, and it's got all that stuff in the middle, like the horseshoe, as you were saying, and the eject, and the 3 pops at the top, and it's got 5 rollover lanes at the top for skill shots. So,
yeah, but those are only. I mean, about the only time you get those are when you launch the ball.
yeah, which is going to be very strategic as far as skill shots go. You're going to need to actually really use your skill shot properly here, because you only get 1 shot at this. Basically, 1 shot at 5 balls unless you get an extra ball. So you're going to have to really.
And this is the other thing with the
play it.
table. You can rack up the extra balls.
Oh, you can?
Oh, yeah. You can rack up a ton of extra balls.
So it's a bit like the addable feature on Central Park, where you just like keep on going, basically.
Yeah, I think you can get up to, I want to say it's up to 10 extra balls, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And I haven't actually experienced the extra balls playing it in the beta because I just literally threw it on this morning. But I've played the real table, and I recall that happening where it was just like, oh, look, I got another extra ball. Okay, let's just keep on playing,
Yeah, right.
But it'd be, and that was my impression when I played it for real, that it was just one of those tables where you're like, oh, well, I guess I'll just keep on flipping.
Yeah, just keep on flipping. You're trying to get up in the pops.
Eventually, you're just kind of like, should I just let the ball drain and walk away? I don't know. I'm kind of bored of this.
Yeah.
Again, I get why
I don't know.
Farsight picked it, in terms of a unique layout, but
yeah.
The second table is Wild Card, and although this one has a spinner in the middle and has proper flipper return lanes, again, there's all kind of wide open. There's no drop targets at all. Fine with both of these, and these are the kind of EMs that I don't care for. It's just basically flip the ball and keep it alive. There's no anything like, for instance, on Wildcard, there on the right hand side, near the top, there is a lane that you can get the ball to go into and drop down and score some bonus, and then the ball gets ejected back out the top.
Yeah,
it's a purely random landing in it. You can't shoot it from a flipper. You got to shoot it up into the pop bumpers and hope the pop bumpers bounce it into that. I don't like that random.
Yeah, it's a tight shot.
I want it to be that my skill got me in there, not that my skill of nudging. And then both these tables are nudging. So for those of you that like nudging, congratulations.
You'll have a ball.
You'll have a ball. For me, I get bored of them real quickly. I lose interest.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't look super appealing. Like, I'm just looking at it going, well, okay. Yeah, it doesn't really look so great. And I'm having a look at the play field when it's just lit up with its general illumination, and it's dark, man.
Yeah.
Like there is zero lights in this thing because of all the vacancy in the middle of the playfield, and it's pitch black. Like, you guys on DX11, man, you're gonna have to really adjust the slider on this because it's dark as heck.
I didn't have to adjust it too much. I turned 20% room light and 50% bulb brightness, and it was plenty bright to see what was going on. But
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
the fact that these are the two EMs that we're going to get for this year, I'm fairly disappointed. Why can't we get some of these classic Gottlieb EMs?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but oh well.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be a quiet month. It's gonna be a quiet month.
Yep.
Like well, I guess in some ways. Well, I was going to say, in some ways, it's kind of probably a nice break after the chaos that was Ghostbusters trying to get that out.
Well, and
like, geez, on Android, we were having like simultaneous Stern Pinball Arcade and Pinball Arcade releases, and I was seriously losing track of which one was what and what was missing things from which. It was crazy, man. So
well, I kept on checking Stern Pinball Arcade on Steam to see if it had been released yet, and it did finally get released on Stern Pinball Arcade. And I was very curious to see what it, after all the CPU problems that I talked about last week, I wanted to see if it was any different on Stern. End result was the same, but getting there was slightly different. I was able to actually select the game, and when I selected the game, there was a long pause, and then finally it came where it seemed like it was going to be frozen. And then I was able to start the game. It took a long time until all of a sudden I got the table itself up. I was like, okay. I launched the ball, and it launched in like slow motion, just ball going up. And I could hear it hit the pop bumpers, and the sound would like activate for the pop bumpers. Then there would be no more sound because like the whole thing froze. And then eventually the ball dropped down, and I was able to get motion, and then the whole thing crashed again. So it was.
Sorry, is that on Pinball Arcade or Stern?
No, that was on Stern. So the big difference being on Stern, it actually seemed to attempt the Pinball Arcade as soon as I select. So I get, again, and I said this last week, I get my processor is 10 years old, so it's bottlenecking this whole thing, and that's why it's not functioning. On every other Pinball Arcade table, it works just fine, and I really think that Farsight needs to put that, or like when you go to purchase that table, that a warning pops up saying, hey, you must have this minimum spec in order to run this table. Because I just suspect there's a lot of people that bought the table and just like me.
Yeah. I would agree. I think people will be getting stung out there when they load this up on their machine that was being perfectly fine for Pinball Arcade up until this particular release. Yeah,
I'd be very curious to know if it runs on my laptop, newer, so the processor is better, but it has a crap video card, so we cannot run DX11 version. It can run DX9, but it cannot run DX11. The only reason why I'm not trying it out is because the whole thing of if I try computer, then all my data gets lost.
Yeah, that punish that you had the last time that you had to get Zania to help you out resolve.
No desire to go back through that again. So that's why I haven't tried it on the laptop.
I guarantee that Fusso have not addressed that issue with their save infrastructure.
You kidding me? Absolutely not. If they guys, if you ever address that, please put that then those of us with multiple machines can actually try multiple machines. And don't get pissed off in the process. So that's what's going on with Pinball Arcade right now.
Interesting. So what else is happening?
Oh my God. Well, okay, the non-pinball talk, folks. So I'm sure the news has been reaching your shores too, because it is every other day. New male celebrity who has been a total rape jerk is getting brought down on sexual harassment charges.
Yep.
And what's interesting is the swift action which is being taken place. So this week it was Kevin Spacey,
Yeah, and he's been dropped like a ton of shit from everything.
Oh my god, Netflix
like
wasted
written out of movies.
Netflix wasted absolutely no time whatsoever. They were like, "Hey, you know what? House of Cards, we just started 2 weeks in. Well, hey, there's going to be no 7th season, and as for the 6th season, yeah, we're shutting everything down, and we're going to think. Oh, by the way, Kevin Spacey, you're fired. You no longer get executive producer credit. So Spacey's completely gone out of that. And then he has a movie that's being released on December 22nd. Forgive me for not recalling the title of it. It's a Ridley Scott movie. Yeah. And they went, hey, you know what? They are reshooting all of his scenes with a new actor, Christopher Plummer, and just going to replace him entirely.
Christopher Plummer was
wow.
Wasn't Christopher Plummer the guy, the Von Trapp, Colonel Von Trapp?
Yeah,
like from the original Sound of Music.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
So I can't believe he's still alive, hey?
Oh yeah, no, he's done. He's in more movies than you would think. He's been in quite a few things, and so he's just a very stately, Englishman
dude. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So he's in. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So he's in. They're refilming his. Well, I guess part of the reason why they're able to do this is most of Spacey's stuff in that movie was him and him alone.
Single scenes.
Easily replaceable. But still entirely unheard of. It's one thing if the actor died during the role, but
well, yeah, like Paul, what's his face did in
Paul Walker.
Fast and Furious. Yeah, Paul Walker. But yeah, man, I tell you what, as a celebrity, if you've got a few skeletons in the closet, it seems at the moment that it's only a matter of time until you're sprung, because the thing with this sort of thing, like the action that Spacey has just accounted, like it's a cascading effect. There will be other victims who come out now, and
they're coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
it's basically when you had a titan like Weinstein get brought down, that told everybody it's safe to do this. And see actual action take place. The other person that got brought down this week was Louis C.K., comedian. And he had a movie that he filmed in secret last year, funded entirely himself, was just getting ready to release. And it's one of those, secrets that every comedian already knew about him, but apparently hadn't been brought out. And that's Louis C.K. likes to whip it out in front of people and pleasure.
Well, fair enough.
Five women had come against him, and he actually, unlike all these other people, went, "Yep, I did that. Sorry."
Yeah, that was me.
And she was like, "Whoa, that was me." Yeah. And he got dropped by his agent, got dropped by FX, got dropped by the movie's not going to come out at all now.
Own all his cash.
And it's just like, wow. So here's the yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
For that money shot.
Lil.
So here's the thing, because I work in this industry, I don't feel the least bit bad for these celebs, or for anybody that's for anybody that's in a position of power, because truly that's what it is. It's a power play. It's not a sexual play. It's purely about exerting power over somebody else and knowing that you can get away with it. Here's the part that I feel bad about. So in the case of House of Cards, they just started the 6th season. They were 2 weeks into shooting, and now it's been pulled on hold. Do you know how many people that affects?
Yeah,
we're talking about on a daily basis. You're talking about 70 plus crew members on a daily basis, and that's just working on the set itself. Then you go into post production or the production office itself with accounting and anybody else of that nature. The total of people that it affects winds up usually being between 200 and 300 people.
Just for one person's stupid
because of one. And that's who I feel for the crew. I mean, it sucks. Because a lot of times too, they've made a commitment to a show, maybe turn down other shows, and all of a sudden, boom, carpet yanks out from underneath them, and they're out of a job because of this idiot.
Yeah.
It just steal for in the case of the Louis C.K. movie. it's, well, you spent all this time working on this film, and usually you take pride in what you've worked on, and you maybe want to show people what you've worked on, and nope, go poof away. And I actually have a movie that happened with. I did a movie years ago that was directed. It was the creator of X-Files.
All right.
And it was for the 2008 elections. And so it was very timely, and it was very Obama.
Yeah.
And it was this movie called Fence Walker. And I don't know if he didn't get it edited in time, or if it was kind of out there. There was some wackiness going on. And whether he just didn't pick up a distributor, supposed to come out before the election. Well, the election came and went, and that movie is never going to see the light of day. and so it kind of sucks, because it's like, well, I spent time on this. I would like to see, what the work is that we put in, but nope, it's gone.
No, it's gone.
So it's kind of weird. It's a weird experience for crew members.
It's a little bit similar, I guess, to it's kind of similar. You get the same feeling, probably not the same sort of investment, but you get the same feeling in software where you're working on something and you get it to the point where it's ready to release, and for whatever reason, it never gets released or never gets turned on. It just rots on the vine. Digital rot, basically. And you sort of go, well, hang on, like, we spent like a month on this. Multiple people spent a month on this, and we're not releasing it. Why? It's a really horrible feeling. So I know what that feels like, as far as like, well, what a waste of time. That's 8 months of my life I won't get back. For your case, probably, because it would have been a long time doing all the shots and everything. It's a punish, man. It's no good.
And the thing of it is with the names that have come out now, I know of other names, and I'm just waiting for news to come out about them, because it's just like we may keep the secrets in the industry ourselves, but doesn't mean that news doesn't travel among us in the industry. So there's plenty of other people that we've heard horror stories. None of these horror stories that have come out of the celebrities is shocking news to me in the least. It's kind of like, yep.
Yeah, we knew that. Yeah.
Heard that story before.
This news about Spacey was not old news to the industry, in other words.
The news about his sexual harassment, I mean, the main thing was it took place 20 years ago, like the first bit that dropped out. But then it turns out that there's been recent stuff, and I think that's why Netflix said goodbye. But in terms of him being a bully on the set and being harassing that way, that is not unheard of news.
Yeah.
And also, the same thing goes with, there's other people. For instance, I would love to work on a Keanu Reeves movie, because I have heard nothing but amazing stories. How just incredibly gracious he is to the crew. There's also positive stories that are out there about certain actors and talent. But I mean, I keep on waiting to hear when's the stuff about Michael Bay going to drop.
Oh, really?
Because if his
abuse of the lens flare really does need to be taken into a check.
The stories of what his sets are like are basically scream fests, nonstop screaming. And think about this: Megan Fox called him Hitler, and got dropped or didn't want to do the third Transformers movie. That's how bad. That's what I'm saying. It's only a matter of time before somebody drops something about him, And there's a few people
like harassment or abuse or any number of things. And gee, the amount of people coming out of that woodwork will just be like termites, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's why I say there's various stories of various actors that you just kind of go, so when's that one going to come about?
Yeah.
So
I think it comes down to, while it may be floating around in the industry, I think it comes down more to the weight that gets given by a victim coming forward, an actual victim who's had actual impact, because that's when stories become fact.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, you do have to worry about, because some of the things that have popped up recently in days, you just kind of go, okay, wait a second. That sounded like somebody just trying to ask you out on a date. It wasn't actual harassment.
Yeah.
But and it would have been from years ago. So I think it's some of these allegations you do have to kind of go, okay, is somebody just because it's easy that they're throwing it out there now, or is it a legitimate case? But by and large, again, with some of these people, I think the reason why you're seeing these talent management and networks dropping them is because they've already heard the rumors, and now it's just a fact of somebody actually finally coming forward, that them going, oh, well, okay,
Yeah.
there's the proof. We don't need to wait for the court case. We already have heard these allegations. Now we're actually seeing somebody firsthand, levy out the allegation. But
so essentially, they're sort of like guilty. They're innocent until proven guilty, but not in a court of law. Basically, just by someone reporting it publicly.
Right.
And that's enough for movie studios to feel very uncomfortable about that.
And what the interesting part is that there's allegations coming out about some of our politicians too, and the reaction couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
And that's where it's
like
fascinating. Well, it becomes no, this is my party, and I'm going to stand behind the party, regardless of what the person did, because I'm worried about what it'll do to the party. And that's the troubling aspect, and trying to wrap your head around that the very same people that'll jump all over these actors and be like, oh, how dare you, then all of a sudden it comes out about somebody in their party that they favor, and they go, well, maybe we should just wait and see.
yeah it's weird, isn't it? I don't know what it is. It's something about I don't know, is it the level of perceived authority that these people have that makes it different? Like, is it like, quote unquote, just actors, so therefore we don't care? But if it's like somebody in Parliament or in an official capacity, does that make the gravity of the situation something that requires a little bit more due process, if you like? I don't know.
Again, I think you're talking about with the entertainment industry, it is by and large a more liberal-minded group, and so if there is a perceived injustice, they're more likely to jump all over that and squash it. And show that there's actual, you can't sit there
affirmative action.
Right. You can't sit there and always be on your bully pulpit about how people need to be nice to each other and blah, blah, blah. And then when something comes out, you look the other way. It's like, no, you got to stand behind it. Whereas with the politicians,
there's a lot more
involved, and I think they can hide behind their, look at my voting record, and no, that was the past, and and all this kind of thing. So I think there's a different perception. But then I also think that in the current climate, and I don't know if it's this way around the world or if it's just here in the U.S. I think Britain certainly is going through it with their whole Brexit deal and stuff. But where people are becoming bulletproof from scandal. We had a guy that was trying to become president, and literally his campaign fell apart when he misspelled potato. Okay, I am not kidding you. He was the nominee for the Republicans to be president, and he went to a public school, and they were having a spelling bee, and this kid's word was potato, and he put up on, said P-O, geez, I'm doing this in the P-O-T-A-T-O, and then the guy mouthed to him E, and so he put E, and they're like, nope, that's misspelled. I'm not kidding you when I say that literally crushed the guy's campaign.
What?
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
As opposed to what's going on today, where literally you could probably shoot somebody in the face and still be able to run. It's
Jeez, how the standards of potato have dropped.
It's
The
amazing.
potato
It's amazing.
standard is out the window. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is depressing in itself.
Like I said, I don't know if it's just us or if it's happening all across the world.
We are getting problems
politicians
here in Australia about dual citizenship. Apparently, there are some politicians in Australia that have dual citizenship, and apparently, to be a politician, you can only be a citizen of Australia and no other. You cannot have another passport. So there are these people coming out now that just all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm a dual citizen. See ya, and they're just going basically. So there's all these politicians just going, well, yeah, I've got dual Australian citizenship, which is not uncommon to that with Australia's past for people that of an older generation.
right.
And then all of a sudden, there's like, and probably becoming a politician in Australia, they would never have even been asked, "Oh, do you have another passport?" They would just go, "Oh, okay, so you're elected, cool, whatever."
Yeah.
There wouldn't even been a problem. But then someone made an issue of it, and now everyone else is having to follow suit because someone made an issue about it. So yeah, all these politicians going, "Yep, see ya. Yeah, I'm a dual citizen. Bye bye," and off we go. No longer a politician. For dual citizenship, like that's all we have in Australia at the moment for people, invalidating their political careers. There's a lot worse things going on out there than just having a dual citizenship, right? So I don't know. It seems like ridiculous if you ask me, but whatever. Like if one of my members, my local member, had a dual citizenship, I would go, I don't actually give a single F about that. Like, are you doing good for my community? Are you actually representing me well in Parliament? Are you trying to get things that matter to me passed?
Those things don't matter.
Things don't actually care. Do not care.
No. Those things don't matter at all. It's not about you. It's about them.
It's about them. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, folks. So welcome to the BlahCade podcast.
the BlahCade political review.
Right. Don't worry. Next week we're going to talk about Scientology.
I need to get on my e-meter. Get the e-meter out for that one.
Believe me, folks, I would love nothing more than to deep dive into that madness. But I also don't feel like having a death hit squad come to my front door. So,
yeah, because that shit gets real, like real bad.
Especially when you live near, the epicenter. So,
yeah, nope, that's a hard pass.
Nope. But hit me up on Twitter, folks, and I'll gladly go off on a very, very lengthy discussion. Or hit us up in our email. That would be blahblahblockade@gmail.com if you want to have if you want to talk politics or any other thing that really would bore you silly on the podcast listening, go for it. Because then we can just offend one person instead of many. Also, once you check out our website, it is BlahCadePinball.com. There you can find our past episodes as well as show notes, websites that we have visited. Makes it all easy to click and clickable. You can follow us on Twitter, which I highly recommend. The show is @BlahCade. There's typically where I've weekly been announcing the Zen tournament, and we also
that's where I post episode summaries up and stuff.
As well as links.
Did you know that we've got 280 characters now? So I did like a slightly longer show summary to help people understand what was on the show, which is kind of nice. Using Twitter 280 characters for good, not evil.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to refrain from being evil because I don't know how to write short, and so Twitter is very difficult for me, and 280 just makes it slightly easier. And I'm going to try not to be abusive of that, but I'm not holding my breath either. So if you want to,
there's a whole thing.
There's what?
Go on, keep going. We'll have a chat.
I was going to say, if you want to subject yourself to my Twitter madness, I am @ShutYourTraps, and Jared is @JaredMorgs.
Yeah. So with the whole 280 thing, there's a few rules with 280 that I've seen on the internet so far.
Okay.
And that is, if you're doing an 80 character tweet, for the love of Jeebus, put line breaks in. Because it is just too hard to read a solid block of text.
Yeah.
And grok it, like scan it. It's just too hard. Use your line breaks. But introduces another problem, which is on most Twitter apps on your phone, you get one tweet per scroll for 280 character tweets. Size down significantly. Basically, you're scrolling. If you've got a lot of people you follow in your Twitter feed, you've got a lot of scrolling to get through before you head to the top of your feed. So that's what people are saying at the moment. So there's a trade-off between spacing out your tweets versus readability of tweets. But I go with readability, and try and put a bit of white space in there to help people out.
It's funny. I don't follow that many people, but two of the things that I follow that pretty much fill up my feed. One, I follow Patton Oswalt. He's a comedian, and he retweets a lot of the political nonsense. And so basically it's a one-stop shop for me. I don't have to follow anybody else, just follow him, and I get everybody else's thoughts. And so it's
he's essentially an aggregator, a thought aggregator.
Exactly. And then I also follow the Lakers. And so whenever there's a game day, all of a sudden I just get for about 3 hours, it's nothing but Lakers tweets of as every score thing goes. And that about fills up my time with Twitter. If I had to scroll through much more beyond that, I'd just go nuts.
Like there's some days where I'll go to sleep at night and I've cleared up my Twitter feed, and then I come back in the morning, there's like, with the people I follow, it could be anywhere between 40 to 100 tweets that I have to go through. And it's just like, if I leave it for a couple of days, then I almost need to declare Twitter bankruptcy and just scroll to the top of the
so see, folks,
the feed.
This is why you should follow all three of these accounts of ours, because we will not abuse you. I guarantee that the BlahCade Twitter feed will maybe feature 5 tweets a week at most.
Yeah.
You know, and also we will never do an all caps post. So
no, which is the kind of, like, as an aside, kind of thing that triggers me really bad with Pinball Supernova's posts. They're all caps with Twitter. And every time I look at it, I go, Stern releases a new pinball machine called this. And it's like, wow, okay, don't need to shout sport. Just it's a title. Don't need to actually yell.
No.
Oh man.
All right, folks. Well, thank you for putting up with us on this podcast here, and hopefully we didn't scare you.
Rather diverse podcast.
Yes. we will be back again next week. I forgot to mention, and maybe we'll talk more about this, but I'm apparently getting the Good Parenting Award because I've introduced my son to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which would be his first taste of monsters and horror.
Okay, this is fine.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes as we dive down that rabbit hole, because we also just finished all of Cowboy Bebop, so he was looking for something else to watch. I was like, let's watch Buffy.
Yeah, Buffy. Hey, it's a nice soft introduction to monsters.
Exactly, but you know what? It's proper monster lore, at least, unlike those abominations of the Twilight series.
Yeah, gross.
So anyway,
there's only so much sparkling you can take.
All right, folks. Anyway, enough of this. We'll talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Toodaloo.